Last week, in a speech in Pennsylvania, former President Donald Trump denounced Vice President Harris as a one-woman economic wrecking ball. Harris is promising to create an opportunity economy to transform American life. Harris's vision bizarrely presumes that politicians are benevolent, bureaucrats are competent, and there is never any cost for government giveaways or debacles. Uh-oh. In a Pittsburgh speech, Harris portrayed political control over the private sector as the key to economic progress. Harris promised to, quote, engage in what Franklin Roosevelt called bold, persistent experimentation. But Harris didn't mention that FDR practically copied Mussolini's economic policies verbatim. Harris, like Mussolini, is gung-ho on a partnership between government and corporations, with the politicians in charge, of course. I'm trying to recall, wasn't there a name for that economic system that Mussolini pushed? Harris is calling for equity, which she defines as equal results. Some people need more, so we all end up in the same place. How much more? It's a secret. Which groups should get more? That's also a secret. The only certainty is that politicians will snare vast arbitrary power to determine who gets what in Harris's opportunity economy. Politicians will be like football referees who continually move the goalposts and boundary lines, and anyone who complains about their refs rigging the game will be castigated as an enemy of fairness or the woke hobgoblin of the week. To understand how Harris's vision would function, recall President Biden's racketeering with federal student debt. Biden announced a $500 billion student loan forgiveness scheme shortly before the 2022 midterm congressional elections. He was trying to buy votes for Democratic candidates from young people. Last year, the Supreme Court struck down Biden's plan as illegal, but that didn't stop Biden. He boasted about scorning the Supreme Court ruling to find new ways to give hundreds of billions of dollars of so-called debt relief to people who borrowed money from the government for college. Biden's debt schemes are a mockery of justice, seeking to compel plumbers and ditch diggers to pay off student loans benefiting lawyers and doctors. The founding fathers included a Bill of Rights in the Constitution because politicians are notorious for foul play, but the standard American protections for individuals will be decimated if they impede Harris's grandiose plans. Due process will simply be any process the government does to people. Harris urges Americans to be unburdened by what has been, especially the long record of federal boondoggles. Harris wants to give $25,000 federal grants to favored first-time home buyers. Similar George W. Bush-era down payment handout programs helped cause the housing crash, which slashed the net worth of Black and Hispanic households in half. These are policies which I hammered as wrecking ball benevolence for a Barron's article that was quoted in a federal appeals court decision. But Harris wants to throw the dice and potentially wreck the housing sector again. Harris's opportunity economy rests upon faith in modern monetary theory, presuming that more gushers of free government money will solve every problem. The fact that young Americans are going to be financially skewered to service the $35 trillion federal debt is irrelevant as long as voters fail to connect federal policies with their own personal financial plight. Government is already paying over $1 trillion a year in interest costs alone on that debt. Have any of Harris's top advisors noticed that outlay? Trying to discover the benefits of Harris's opportunity economy will be like playing a circus shell game. People who expect Harris's policies to boost prosperity will be cruelly disappointed. But that won't matter because her policies will produce equity based on secret, ever-changing White House definitions. And if her policies are dismal failures at benefiting any favored minority or newly discovered gender group, she will promise they will solve climate change. In that MSNBC interview last week, Harris signaled that her administration could drop plenty of legal hammers on businesses. I'm never going to apologize for going after companies and corporations that take advantage of the desperation of the American people, she said. But what about politicians who take advantage of the desperation they have inflicted on people's lives? Harris touts a vast increase in government intervention to produce what her media fan club calls capitalism for the middle class. She expanded her vision of opportunity economy recently to include not just buying a house or starting a business, but also to take a nice vacation from time to time. She didn't specify Disneyland, maybe because Florida is not really in play for this election. According to the Harris scorecard, having the opportunity to line up for endless government handouts is even better than being a free and independent citizen. Harris's handouts could send millions of people on kamikaze missions where they financially destroy themselves. Harris justifies sweeping new federal interventions because, quote, not everyone starts out in the same place. But with her opportunity economy, every American could be further subjugated to Washington. In that MSNBC interview, Harris assured viewers that her economic plan is not about bilking anybody, she said. But she didn't promise that plan wasn't about tyrannizing everybody. Endless vote-buying schemes will be an economic wrecking ball, unleashing perpetual political welfare guaranteed to make America poorer. You know, that system of Mussolini where he merges government and corporations, I still can't think of the name. Maybe I'll get it for the next article.